Hey, business building warrior, welcome to the only podcast in all of e commerce that I'm aware of that interviews hundreds of successful students who are doing the training that we have for you on this podcast. Meaning, the stuff we teach here works and we prove it every episode. And we've got over 800 episodes at this point. Pretty cool. We're pretty proud of that around here. And we're glad that you're joining us for another episode where we talk to a student from our community who's gone through the proven Amazon course training and he's succeeding. He started just a few months ago, as you'll hear him explain in a minute. I'm not going to jump into his story, but now he's built a beautiful business operating at 5 figures. Great ROI on his investment so far, and he's very excited about the future. He's got a full time job, so this is very much a side gig for him, but with the few hours a week that he has, he's built something truly special, and he's going to tell you all about it here in just a couple minutes. His name is Shad. He's going to be at our conference here in just a couple weeks as this episode airs. And as you're hearing it, if you're listening to this shortly after it comes out, you'll be in time to take advantage of the Proven Conference. There's a link to everything I'm talking about so far, by the way, at silentjimdotcom, a link to our upcoming conference in May of 2024. Also, a link to the Proven Amazon course, which is our flagship training course that Shad went through. There's a link to our free Facebook group where you can see 75,000 like minded business building warriors who are building beautiful businesses using the strategies we teach here. Thousands of success posts in that group. One of the themes that you're going to hear us talk about today with today's guest is the fact that right when he found our community, he was on the verge of spending a whole lot of money with someone who had a sales pitch for him on a internet business idea. And one of the things that he heard us talk about on the podcast episode that he was relieved he hadn't gone that direction was when we talked about how to find a community of people who are doing a business model before you jump into doing that business model yourself. Before you leap, go find a group of people who know what they're talking about, who have been doing that business for a while, who are there to help you and encourage you on that path. If that group doesn't exist, if you can't interact with people like that before you leap, you're probably taking a very unnecessary risk and it's probably not going to go very well for you. We see that happen all the time in our community. People wander in after having made a series of really bad mistakes, spending a whole bunch of money on promised outcomes when they never did their homework and their research to identify, is this something that other people are doing successfully? Are those people available to me that I could discuss this business with? Can they help me solve some of the challenges that I'm facing as an early student of this business model? If that group doesn't exist and it's not producing significant success stories and a positive abundance mindset of people willing to help you, that's not a business model you need to consider because groups like ours exist who are here to support you, encourage you, equip you, tell you how it really works, tell you where the guardrails are so you don't do anything stupid, right? We want to help you and encourage you on your journey into Amazon. And the beautiful thing is, we've identified the lowest risk, lowest investment required, highest odds of success business model in all of e-commerce. That's why we teach it. If there was something that's better, hey, we're going to start teaching that instead. But if you want to be surrounded with a group of thousands of people who are serving the biggest paradigm shift and the biggest mega trend in all of e-commerce, which is Amazon and e-commerce shopping on Amazon.com, half of all transactions on the internet any given day in the US are on Amazon.com. Hey, we're helping fill that underserved shelf space. That space sitting at Amazon where there's not enough inventory, we help you find it and bring inventory to it and build a profitable business. Just like our student Shad is doing today. I'm going to introduce you to him here in just a minute. Before I do, I want to make one short announcement. I alluded to this just a little bit. You're going to hear us talk about it on today's episode. We are coming up very quickly on our live event towards the end of May 2024 in Orlando, Florida. Join us if you can. It's the Proven Conference. But here's the deal. If you can't join us, you really need to get live stream access. We're going to have almost 50 breakout sessions at this event, all kinds of incredible real time, what works right now success strategies from the highest performing leaders in our community and the highest performing successful students in our community with breakout sessions. If you're there, you can interact with these people. If you're not there, you want to get the live stream, which gets you all the recordings. And the best part of all this is it's about $1 per session. almost 50 sessions. It's under $50 for you to get the live stream and the recording access to this incredible event. It's a no-brainer of an opportunity. I promise you, you will not regret it. If you get into the content and you think, this isn't for me, we'll give you every penny of your money back. This is the most cutting edge training we have to offer right now from the leaders in our community who are killing it. You want to hear this stuff. One episode or one session from this conference will easily make you grateful that you paid the one-time fee of $50 to get full access to all of this, and you can keep it forever. But you got to do it before the event starts. When the event starts, the price rockets up way higher. So if you want the event recordings and the live stream, get over to silentjimdotcom, click on the Proven Conference right at the top of the page. You'll see a banner, or go straight to theprovenconference.com, click on live stream, lock it in before the event gets here. We're already seeing in the Facebook group, we're seeing a lot of chatter about the group. There's a private Facebook group just for live stream viewers and those who plan to attend. You'll be in that group. You'll experience it with the community. You'll get access to all the content as it's happening, as well as all the recordings. We're putting a lot of videos in there right now, little mini sessions from the speakers telling you a little bit about themselves, as well as the topic that they're going to cover at the event. So that's a great way to start to get in the right mindset for which sessions you want to check out, what's next for you and your business. We want to encourage and equip you with this event. So hopefully you can join us there. Well, that's enough of an intro. Let's jump over and have a great conversation with my new friend, Shad. You're going to enjoy this one. So Shad, welcome to Silent Sales Machine Radio. Good to see you, man.
Good to see you, Jim. Thanks for having me.
Hey, thanks for doing this. Pleasure is all mine. Really looking forward to getting into your story if you're ready.
Yeah, for sure.
Let's do it, man.
So just a little bit background on me as far as the e-commerce side of things. I discovered e-commerce back in 1997, 1998 with eBay.
Wow. Okay. You've been around a while then.
Yeah, I started doing a little bit of buying, a little bit of selling early on, took a little bit of time off, just kind of dabbled with it a little bit. Nothing serious, nothing that was considered even a business at that point.
Sure.
Probably around 2000 to 2002 timeframe is when I really ramped up my eBay stuff. A friend of mine and I started doing a small eBay business out of his basement in Michigan. Had fun with it. It was more fun than it was a moneymaker, even though we did make some money on it.
Mm-hmm. The
That
treasure
was,
hunt. Yeah.
that was starting to grow, and we were starting to have a lot of fun with it and doing well with it. And then I got relocated for a job, and our joint business kind of fizzled. He continued to do eBay, and I kind of took a break from it for a while. The same friend introduced me to this, to the Proven Amazon course and to your podcast.
Oh, really? Oh, that's cool. All right. Let's give him a shout out. At least what's his first name?
So Chris Houston.
Chris. Hey, Chris. All right, man. Thanks. That's cool. All right.
Yeah. So he introduced me to it back in probably October of last year. Started listening to some of the podcasts, joined the Proven Amazon course, started dabbling in some of the training. I sent my first FBA shipment off on November 6th of 23.
November 6th. So as we're sitting here, we're in the middle of April approximately of 2024. That's not that long ago.
No.
That you've been jumped in. Okay.
Yeah. Just kind of got in. I was doing all RA to start, still doing primarily all RA. I'm doing a little bit of OA at this point, but
okay.
Really started just going into stores, taking pictures of shelves. I kind of got into the habit of scanning barcodes, which I stopped doing since
all
then.
the eBay guys do that, man.
Yeah.
Some of the most difficult people to transition from RA to REPLENS, from retail arbitrage to REPLENS, scanning barcodes, looking for liquidation, closeout, clearance, and over to a true REPLENS model on Amazon are the old eBay sellers because they're convinced they know exactly what you're talking about. When you say, yeah, I'm going to teach you REPLENS. Like, yeah, I know how to do that, man. I got a barcode scanner on my phone. Like, no. That's not what we're talking about. Like, yeah, you say that's not what you're talking about, but I know that's what you're talking about. Like, no, it's really not. So those old eBay sellers, man, we die hard. I had to be drug kicking and screaming into Amazon myself. It's like, no, I love eBay. I was Mr. eBay back in the day, man. Like that was my nickname. I didn't choose it. It just was. Like events I would speak but Amazon is so much bigger. You can make so much more money. You can build a beautiful system as you're starting to discover. So I don't want to distract from you, but I've heard that so many times from former eBay sellers. Like, yeah, that whole barcode scanning thing's hard to give up, man.
I
Yeah.
learned early on though that it just didn't work for me. I mean,
Yeah.
I thought I found good products. Some of my first few samples that I sent in, or test worthy ASINs that I sent in, didn't work out, and I think it was because of the scanning barcodes.
Yeah, it can work against you. It can give you a false sense of confidence. And there's just so few good ones out there because it's the lazy man's way to play Amazon.
Right.
And there's plenty of lazy people out there that downloaded the Amazon seller app one day and they scan barcodes when they're out shopping. All right. Yeah. There's not much there, man. You got to scan a lot of barcodes to find winners that way. They're out there.
An
We got
awful
people
lot.
in our community that build a business around that model. I don't know how they do it, but they're doing it. I mean, you're scanning 400 barcodes to find two or three winners. All right. Okay. If that's how you want to spend your time, you know, but
I
anyway,
found myself going into stores and just starting to take pictures of shelves and then
yes,
coming home.
I
you know,
love that. That's still to this day one of my favorite ways to
And
find great
it's
replays.
funny, I do it every time I go into the store. Even if my wife sends me into the store for something, she'll tell me, she'll be like, "I need you to hurry home," which means
I
don't take
love
as
that.
many pictures as you normally do. But like even this morning, I had to run to Walmart this morning before I went to work,
Mhm.
and I was in an aisle picking up something. I was snapped a few pictures and
Why not?
we looked them up.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's talk through what you well, let's keep your story going however you want, but I want to revisit how what you do with those pictures and kind of how you're finding your winners from that. But
Yeah.
yeah, keep it going, man.
Yeah, just from that standpoint, I mean, I basically will just start searching for that specific product, make sure I'm searching for the right size, flavor, and whatnot. If it's a grocery item or anything else, and then from there, I try to venture out into other products by that brand.
Mhm.
So if I'm searching for Duncan Hines cake mix, I look at every flavor of cake mix to see if any of them are selling well, and not just the ones that were on the shelf at Walmart when I was there.
Yeah, exactly. Because you can always order them online or ask the store manager, "Hey, could you order me a
Right.
case of these, 8 pack or whatever?" Yeah, so there's ways you can track it down. Yeah, it's a starting point for research. So in that one picture, I like to say, you got 10, 15 products shown. You could have thousands of ASINs that you need to go research, and you could stay busy with that one picture for a very long period of time. Just
Yeah.
keep following the bunny trails, opening up the tabs, and off you go to the races. Once you understand what you're looking for with replans, you're really looking for underserved ASINs. You're looking for attractive Keepa charts, is what you're looking for, not products. Attractive Keepa charts.
Yeah, and Keepa's been great. I mean, obviously, I mean, I've learned all of this through your courses and through the podcast and everything else. But in listening to the podcast, I pretty much listen to your podcast every morning and every evening on the way to and from work. Uh,
Wow. Okay, I'm honored. How far back are you in history?
I've probably listened to 150 of them or so at this point.
Gotcha. Yeah,
Maybe,
that's enough
maybe
to
a
be
little more than
dangerous.
that even. I keep up with the current ones, and then when I'm caught up completely on the current ones, I'll go back and listen to some of the older ones.
Exactly, that's how we suggest to do. We used to say start at the beginning, but about episode 80, we stopped saying that because you'll never catch up.
Well, no, and I feel like the current is more relevant anyways.
Mhm. It absolutely is. The little things here and there change. There's some really good, encouraging ones, some timeless episodes back in the mix for sure. Some of the first 100 episodes I'm very proud of. And we dove into mindset a lot and kind of foundational concepts that are timeless, evergreen. But yeah, you want to work kind of, I'd suggest, start at the most recent ones and work your way backwards, but get back into those first 100 or 50 or so. And there's some cool stuff in there that really gets you into the brain of, how this community was formed and kind of what we're all about to this day. So yeah, great. I'm honored that you've listened to that many episodes though, buddy. That's really cool. Thank
Yeah,
you.
it's funny because I catch myself. I'll stop one and then I'll start another, and then I have to play catch up on the episodes. But it's a great way to learn and just to kind of hear other people's stories. I mean, that's like I said, my friend Chris got me started with this, but your podcast and your community has been what keeps me going. Chris
Beautiful.
keeps me going as well. We're on each other. We talk pretty much every day.
So he's
Uh,
still doing it as well. He's a proven Amazon course student as well, I
yeah,
take
he
it.
actually
Yeah.
signed up probably a month or so before I did. So probably September, October of last year.
Okay, cool. So he's got a month or so out ahead of you.
Yeah, and he'll be coming to the conference with me as well.
Oh, great. Yeah, we'll talk more about that in a minute. Yeah.
Yeah.
give a shout out to the conference coming up May 23rd through 25th in Orlando, Florida, the Proven Conference. There's a link in the show notes. But since you mentioned it, Shad, I had to throw all that out there. But we will get to that as well
Okay.
because I want to hear about what your plans are and what you're
Sure.
hoping to do. And maybe we can put together a strategy for you and some of the listeners on how to
Yeah.
take advantage of that. Even if you can't make it, we got live stream for those listeners who are thinking, I can't be there. But anyway, let's keep the story going, man. So you're hitting stores, taking pictures of the store shelves. Your wife is saying, "Hey, you're not out there to source, mister. I just sent you to the store for milk." Like, all right, I can take a couple pictures anyway. Click, click, head home.
Yeah.
That's me. My wife does that to me, by the way, too, when we'll be out, like, especially when we're on vacation. And I'll see a store that like I've never seen before, a chain, some regional chain. I'm like, I know there's gold in there.
Well, and my wife has been super supportive.
Oh,
She's
of course.
starting to help out with some of the business a
Oh,
little bit.
beautiful.
I mean, even my 2 boys have helped out some. I mean,
Oh, that's so cool. Yeah.
I've got a 17-year-old that the other day I said, "Hey," I said, "You wanna do me a favor?" I said, "Here's a list of 6 stores." I said, "Can you go hit these 6 stores?" I told him exactly what I was looking for. I said, "Buy everything they've got in these products." And he came home and he had hit 4 more stores than what I had even given him a list for.
That's so great, man.
So, and he was like, he'll text me now if he's on his way to a soccer game or, to a friend's house or something. He'll text me and he say, "I just passed 2 more of these stores. Do you think I should stop on my way home?" And it's and then my little one is 4. He loves putting labels on boxes.
Ah, that's so good, man. I just have to tell you the lessons you learn. I haven't shared this in a while, man. And I don't want to cut off your story too much, but just for the parents out there with kids, anywhere from like you said, 4 years old or so, up to the teen years, they're still at home, looking for creative ways for them to contribute. I think we all know inherently that we lost a little bit of something when we moved off the farms and there was nothing for us all to kind of tackle as a family, right? I'm not suggesting we all move back to farms, although some people have. That's great. It's a lot of work. Trust me, I was raised on a farm. It's not for everyone. I'm not idealizing how hard that is. But when you've got a project that you can tackle as a family, and this is what we do, man, we need to take care of this. We're all pitching in here, teamwork, contributing to something meaningful. It's not just a board game and you shut it when you're done, but like we're actually building a business here, guys, and here's how we're going to contribute to this thing we're building. The bonds that creates in your family and the benefits are just endless. I feel like I could write a book at this point, having done it for 20 years. I didn't see it coming. My kids are different people now. They see the world differently. They see it through this lens of looking for opportunities to serve well and be rewarded well for serving so you can serve more people.
Right.
That's just the way they think because they were raised in an environment where these things were talked about and discussed.
Well, and I think one of the things that hit me very early on listening to your podcast is the bringing dads home. And
Okay. That's
I'm
it.
still working full time. This
Yep.
is obviously just a side hustle at this point.
Yeah, well, God bless you for it, man. You're doing what you gotta do, but we'd love to get you there if that's a goal.
I mean, my goal is to go full time with this. I mean, this is the direction I wanted to go. I love the idea of being able to have, more time at home, more time with the boys, my wife,
Mm,
and
mhm.
doing my own thing. I mean,
Yeah,
not reporting to anybody, so to speak.
yeah, yeah, the liberty of it. Yeah, I've talked to many couples who, like, they gave up, she was earning 150,000, he was earning 200,000, and they gave it all up to be home with the kids and homeschool for half that money, and they're thrilled for the
Right.
decision. And in many cases, they scale well past what they ever could have made in the corporate world. But just saying, hey, let's get back around the people we love. Let's not spend our days away from each other. Let's do this under the same roof. The rewards, the benefits of that. Yeah, I'm not trying to talk anybody into anything today, but I just know the impact it had on me over 20 years ago when I got to pull that trigger. And we were very nervous and it scared us to death initially. But then we started settling into it. We're like, this is pretty stinking awesome. Being under the same roof all day, every day with the people you love and having the freedom and flexibility. Like I would give up a lot of perks and benefits and money for that. And we kind of did, but then it ended up being way bigger than what we ever could have done if I'd have stuck corporate.
Yeah, that's the one thing from listening to all the different interviews you've done on the podcast is everybody shares the same feeling you had. It was scary to start and to
Mhm,
take that leap.
mhm.
But I've not heard one interview yet. And I've not talked to one person yet that hasn't been happy they made that leap.
You know, you make a great point, and I'll answer the implied question in what you just said. Do I know anyone that regrets making that leap? I know one person that comes to mind when I like truly honestly scrape my memory banks. And they haven't really been doing the business the way we teach it. They've been doing it a different way, and they found it frustrating. And they've got a really big team running a really slim margin way that I would never run a business. And they've made a comment recently that, gosh, sometimes find myself thinking if I'd have been better off. But then he says, on the same breath, he's like, but I wouldn't have been able to be there for sick family members. I wouldn't have been able to be there for this. I'd have missed that. I'm like, yeah, I guess I don't really regret it. That's the closest I've heard.
Well, and I think for me, it's not necessarily the leap into selling on Amazon or doing your own thing with
Mhm,
e-commerce
mhm.
that I've not heard regrets, because I've heard plenty of regrets of people that have done that. I haven't heard the regrets through your, group.
Right, right. That's what and that's the filter I'm running. Yeah, there's plenty of people out there. I mean, we call ourselves a burn unit, Shad. You've probably heard me use that terminology listening to the episodes. Because I mean, it's just so frustrating for me. I've heard it so many times. It's kind of like those, to me, it's kind of like those old TV episodes used to do this, where the whole plot was built around person A misunderstanding person B. And if person B had just said these 10 words, the episode would be unnecessary. It would clear up all confusion. But person B just never says these 10 words. So person A is over here just flailing confusion and false assumptions and making mistakes and doing dumb things. Like that's the plot of many major TV shows and movies. Like if this person would just say these 10 words to that person, plot over. And that's the way e-commerce can be for so many people. Like they never had anyone tell them, oh, whoa, 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 whoa. You're getting ready to give them how much money to teach you to do what and spend money on what kind of inventory? It's like, no, time out. Go find a group of people who are doing that model successfully, hang out with them for a short period of time, gain your confidence before you spend any money on any kind of training or coaching or inventory or advice. Find a community, find your people, and then find your purpose in e-commerce. It's simple. No one's ever told them that. So they just jump from shiny object to shiny object, spending thousands of dollars and getting burned, right? At our
My
community, it's
close
impossible to get burned the way we do it here. It's impossible. We've made it impossible because you're
well,
waiting in the kiddie pool.
yeah, your podcast came along at the perfect time for me as far as the introduction to the community. My wife and I had did a Zoom call with somebody promoting a business to make money online,
Yeah,
and it sounded great. They had flashy videos, they had,
of course.
good social media,
Yeah.
but it was a very high pressure sales pitch
Yeah.
to the point of, you know, we thought we were just going in for an educational call. And at the end of the
Mhm.
call, they told us that, they just kept avoiding price. And finally, I was blunt and I was like, what does this cost?
Yeah.
And they're like, well, we've got three different tiers. And of course, they start with the top tier,
Right.
for big businesses. And then they
That no
settle,
one ever takes.
yeah, and they settled on their, what they claim was their most affordable option, which was $10,000 to get started. And I think they knew early on that that was a shock to both of us. And I know it's part of a sales ploy. I'm in sales.
Yeah.
Is he immediately was like, well, for you guys, if you sign up right now, we can do it for 7,500. Well, we told him we couldn't make a decision at that point. Come Monday, this was on a Friday. Come Monday, it was a $5,000 offer.
Ooh.
So you've cut your price in half, which scared me a little bit. And then when we started looking at it, I was searching for reviews and
Mhm.
couldn't find anything.
Mhm.
Find anything good or bad. The only
Mhm.
reviews that they were on their website. Of course, those are going to be good reviews.
Yeah, a picture of an anonymous face, first name only, no way to contact or ever meet that person, and a little nice blurb about how amazing these guys are. Yeah, sure.
And literally the same week when we were battling back and forth on what to do, we were like, that's a lot of money, but sounds like we can make a lot of money. Is when Chris introduced me to your podcast. And one of the very
Mm.
first podcasts I listened to, you talked about those situations and said, you know, before you do anything, find the community, find the people that are doing it. And
Yes.
that's been, I mean, I'll tell you, what you've built is phenomenal. And just the motivation that keeps me going with everything that you guys talk about. You're hearing real success stories. You're hearing people that have jumped off and done this full time, quit their high paying job to do this full time.
Yeah.
And then you talk to people like me who started this in November of last year. So not even 6 months ago. And they're just getting started. It's, you cover the whole spectrum. And to me, I love all the interviews, whether it's somebody that just got started, because that keeps me, okay, well, if somebody else has done this, I can do it.
Mhm.
And all the way through to somebody that's ventured out past replens into branded bundles or wholesale.
Yeah. 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 I love it. Thank you. I promise for the listeners today, I didn't prompt Shad to say any of this stuff. but you're hitting the nail on the head about exactly that's what we're trying to do here is I call it excuse elimination as a strategy. So just imagine your most creative prospect and you're in sales. So you appreciate that. I'm in sales. We're trying to sell a solution that I believe is superior to the other solutions that are out there. And you just alluded to some of that. So what's the solution we offer? We offer low risk, low investment required. You're going to be putting money in the bank as you learn. And as evidence, here's the thousands of people who are doing it, hundreds of which we've interviewed in extended conversations like this one, you can listen to as a reference point. And when I look at the landscape of what else is out there, I'm not seeing anyone else take this approach. So I threw down the gauntlet, like you said, a few years ago on the entire industry. And not that anyone has to pay attention to little old me, but our voice is getting a little louder over time. And I'd like to think that there's a lot of people out there on those $10 to $30,000 Zoom sales calls that are saying, "Hold on, time out. I mean, I hear what you're saying. You guys look impressive. You seem to know your stuff, but where can I go hang out with the other people who've been doing this a while?"
And
End
they're
of call. That
yeah,
group doesn't exist. Here it does. We meet in person together annually, the longest running e-commerce conference and Amazon conference in the industry. We've been doing this coaching under the same name for 20 years. Like that's starting to mean something to me. I'm starting to hang my hat on like, okay, how long they been doing this? Ask them some hard questions, right? That flashy sales page and that video showing the boat and pile of money and all. Like, seriously, you're going to go fall for that? Like, let's meet some real people here before we spend our hard-earned cash. So I love that. It sounds like almost divine timing. God's just like, hold
oh,
on, I'm out,
perfect.
guys.
It
Right?
was perfect timing. And the thing is nothing is that easy.
It's not.
They make it seem like it is, and that's one of the red flags that went up for me is
Hmm.
if I drop $5,000 today, 6 months from now, I'm gonna be making six figures. I'm like, there's just not something that's not right with that.
No,
And
there would have been an upsell.
right,
Certainly,
for sure.
almost certainly would have been an upsell. And any problems that occurred, they'd been like, "Well, you haven't been doing this, and that the way you said you were going to." Right? It's yeah. That whole industry is just full of vultures, and maybe even a lot of them are well intentioned, but it very quickly becomes all about sales and not delivering results. And then
Well,
they change
for
the
me,
name of the business and yeah, move
starting
on.
starting out with the replens model, outside of my initial few test ASINs, my biggest expense was buying a label printer. I mean, I
Yeah,
spent a couple $100 to get started.
yeah,
That was
that's it. That's all you need. Yeah. Well, talk me through some details, man. Hopefully, we spent enough time on this for people who are kind of teetering on the edge of looking for the biggest, shiniest, coolest YouTube channel they can follow and just dive in. You know, another way I like saying it to help those people before we shelve this conversation is if the offer you're considering, if the business offer you're considering requires you to spend a significant amount of money and hope it all works out later, nope, that's not necessary. That's the way the world worked up until the mid 90s or so. If you wanted to be in business, you spend a bunch of money and you hoped it worked out later. You don't have to do that anymore thanks to the internet. Like you just said, Shad, a couple $100, you're in the game. Let's go. Let's
I mean,
learn while we learn and step into this thing and go spend some money on some inventory. I mean, you can certainly jump in a little more aggressive than that, but we don't have a $10,000 offer in our community. We just don't, right? Everything we've got is slow and steady. Unless you want one-on-one hand holding with a coach, that's the most expensive thing we've got to offer in our arsenal.
well, I look at my monthly expenses outside of buying inventory, and it's the proven Amazon course. I've got Keepa. There's a couple others out there. I use AZ Insight as on mine as an extension. There's other stuff I've looked at that I just haven't pulled the trigger on, but at some point, and those are I actually was going to ask you, sometime today about that as well, as far as
Yeah,
like
we can spend some time on that.
like a repricer and things
Mhm.
from that standpoint. But
Yeah.
in looking at it, I mean, just to kind of jump in, I probably, like I said, I started off 100% RA, going into stores and just clearing shelves in some cases with different things and popping around to five and six different stores too. Now I'm probably closer to 75% RA and 25% OA.
Okay, you're ordering online more for those who don't know that terminology, retail arbitrage, online arbitrage. You're starting to order online some more. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And even with some of the stores that I've done RA, I'll order stuff online and just pick it up. I don't even have to go into the store anymore,
Yeah,
whether I
I
have
love
it
that.
shipped to me or pull up outside and have them bring it to my car.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Or Walmart Plus in a lot of areas, they'll deliver it to you for free too.
Right.
You pay a few bucks a month or whatever. Yeah.
The only thing that I continue to do pretty much 100% RA going into stores is grocery
Mm-hmm.
because I want to check expiration dates.
Exactly. You don't want crushed boxes and expiration dates and all that. Yeah, you're being cautious there. I
And I
agreed.
have to deal with returns and
Mm-hmm.
a headache. So
Mm-hmm.
grocery I've been doing pretty much 100% in store.
Yeah. Yeah. That's beautiful, man. Sounds like you're building a nice routine around your full-time gig. Before we jump into your numbers, you talked a little bit about your family and your other business. You said you're in sales, your other job.
Yeah.
And I appreciate you, by the way, today being willing to jump on here, put your name and face out here, and like you got a real job. Someone at your work's going to see this. You okay with us putting your name out there still?
Yes, I am. Actually, my boss actually knows that I do this as a side hustle
Yeah,
right now.
that's great. Well, my
He
boss
actually,
fired me for knowing that I did this as a side hustle over 20 years ago. So that's why I'm always cautious about that.
yeah, no, it's one of those situations that they're if it started taking away from my real job, then there would be an issue. But they know it's
Sure.
all after hours, before hours, lunch
Yeah, it's
break.
a side gig thing. It's yeah, it's in the evenings and all that. But you've stated clearly you have aspirations to do this at some point in the future full time is your thing, right?
Yeah, that's my goal. I've kind of set a goal because I don't know what a realistic time frame is. I set a goal of like 2 years from now to be
Hmm.
full
Hmm. Well, we've
time.
seen it happen a lot faster than that for a lot of people,
It
dude.
could be sooner. I think it can be sooner. I'm just trying to be realistic with.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, as Dave Ramsey says, you want to get your boat close to the dock before you jump, right? So, I get it. You want to be cautious and have those conversations and have those goals. But yeah, I mean, as you start to scale up the trajectory you're on, based on what I remember about your numbers, you could be in a pretty cool place pretty quickly.
Yeah, and I
Where,
think for me, getting my processes in place is my biggest challenge right now.
yep,
Is
yep,
and spent the weekend working on some of that. Was prepping. I mean, we're doing all of our prepping and shipping out of the house, and I would bring the stuff out and set it on the kitchen table and start prepping and ship it out. Some nights would take me late into the evening, like really late into the evening. And my wife's rule was, I need the kitchen table cleared off before morning, or I need half of the
yep,
kitchen table cleared off before morning.
yep.
The other day, she goes, if we're really going to grow this business, she's like, we need a better workspace. So I spent the weekend cleaning out a part of the garage, and I've got tables and shelves and everything else set up now with product and poly bags and boxes ready to go.
That's it, man. That's how you build the next great business. You're on the path. Yeah, I love it. So many
I mean,
things I want to say, but I'm gonna try not to soapbox too much. I love your story. I love the trajectory. I love these new stages of gaining momentum, getting your confidence, getting validation. Like, yeah, this works. Okay, we're putting money in the bank. All right, team, let's make our life kind of fit into this thing we've discovered here and everyone contributing and giving their input. It's such a healthy thing for a family to go through. That's where my mind's going. These are such great, healthy conversations you guys are having as you kind of squeeze this opportunity into your life. Beautiful. I love
well,
it, man.
for me, it was great. I mean, just with my wife's buy in to even have the idea of, hey, we need to move it
Hmm.
table and into the garage. And it's just more space.
Yep.
So yes, my car is being parked outside, but it's going to work for us at least now. And then maybe we'll grow into needing, a corner of a warehouse or something along those lines. That's the
Right.
goal.
Yeah. You take it in incremental steps and you solve the little challenges ahead of you and keep growing, man.
I mean, the way I look at it is Jeff Bezos started in the garage. I can start in a garage.
Yep.
So
A couple sawhorses and an unused front door
yeah,
as the desk, right? And just here we go, man. Let's just keep making a couple good decisions every day and see where that takes us. Yeah, that's how Amazon was built. And those of us, as a company, it's pretty amazing to me just to think about that vision that he had. And it was kind of a crazy idea. And a lot of people have crazy ideas that never work out. But he had a crazy idea that did work out. But he's created more millionaires. That company has created more millionaires than any other company in world history. It's just astounding. This
yeah,
simple idea, like, hey, let's create an everything store. People can stay home and shop. All right.
yeah.
What do we got to do? Take a couple good decisions a day and work your way in that direction. And look what it's done. I mean, in our community alone, the number of people who have benefited wildly from that simple concept. And we're not just an Amazon community. We're an e-commerce multiple income stream community. It just so happens Amazon's the low-hanging fruit opportunity of our time right now. That's where we start people. But yeah, keep us going, man. I'm loving your story. I love And I want to hear more about your career though too. I'm very curious what you sell, and I think those skills are going to serve you well as you kind of move into the next levels of this game.
Yeah, so it's interesting. My background's primarily sports entertainment marketing, sponsorship sales, and things along those lines. But over the last 4+ years now, I work for a golf cart company. And I sell golf carts for a living.
Nice. My aunt owned a golf cart company for a long time. So they built a highway and closed off the exit, and she sold it. I think they actually bought it, something like that. But yeah,
Yeah, so
my aunt did
basically,
that.
I sell fun for a living. Essentially, I
Yeah.
mean, it's people that are buying carts for their neighborhoods and cruising around the neighborhood. I mean, we don't sell direct to golf courses or anything. It's just
Mhm.
neighborhood.
Yeah, I got you. That's cool. Pretty it's not a high pressure environment, I imagine. It's just kind of like, nice pace, you know
Nobody
your stuff,
doesn't
and
have to.
yeah. Well, that's
So
cool. That's cool. But yeah, but those skills, those conversation skills, those ability to just, so few people have it. I'm amazed at how few people have those just basic interacting with another human and trying to find common ground and solve each other's problems and mutually benefit from whatever arrangement you make. Like that's a skill set that's going to serve you so well in e-commerce. Because a lot of people will come to me to our community and they'll say, okay, here's the deal. I don't want to talk to anybody. I don't want to interact with anybody. I don't want to make any new friends. I just want to know a system that's going to put money in the bank. Like that system doesn't exist. I'm sorry, you're in the wrong group.
well,
Keep looking. It doesn't exist. You're going to build relationship. You can have conversations. Those are the people that win. Hey, we'll get back to the episode in just a moment, but I want to tell you about today's sponsor. If you are an Amazon seller who has more than just a handful of listings on Amazon, I can almost guarantee you that Amazon owes you money that you don't even know you're owed. There's all kinds of little reimbursements and rebates and refunds that Amazon owes you that unless you're actively going in and tracking them down, you are not getting all the money that you have coming to you. And today's sponsor does that for you. They only get paid if you get paid. And their first $400 of reimbursements are completely free. They don't charge you anything. They just prove that they're good at what they do. They're Amazon approved. They've been doing this a long time. They're a great friend of our community. Many sellers in our community use them. The company is Gitada, and I'm going to give you a link. Write this down. silentjim.com/reimburse. That link gets you the special offer that they have for our community, silentjim.com/reimburse. Be sure to tell them that I sent you, and you will enjoy the benefits of having someone else finding all the money that Amazon owes you. Go check them out now. Let's get back to the episode. Keep looking. It doesn't exist. You're going to build relationship. You're going to have conversations. Those are the people that win.
Well, the podcast I was listening to this morning on the way to work from earlier this week talked, it was a husband and wife, and they were talking about, being introverts. And I know you said you were an introvert as well. And it's,
Yeah.
start looking at it, and it's easy to be that way if you're just kind of staying behind the scenes. But one of the things I'm excited about with the conference and different things is, and even just being on the Facebook page, is the community and pushing yourself to talk to people and to
Mhm.
learn more, pick people's brains.
Mhm.
To me, that's the biggest resource that you guys offer.
Yeah, I completely agree. The asset that's here for all of us is the community. And to the degree that we keep adding in new people and helping them out and encouraging them while paying attention to the success of others and encouraging and celebrating that, this community feel, this abundance mindset where the rising tide raises all ships, the cake versus candlelight analogy, right? All of that. That's the core asset of this community. And you're about to experience it. You're going to have a great time. One of the things that I always do at the opening, typically I've done it many of the 12 times that we've had these gatherings, is to say, encourage people, like you just said, have conversations. And I give them very specific. Last year, I even had people raise their hand. I think I had them raise their hand if they didn't want to participate. And one guy being goofy raised his hand out of hundreds of people. And I said, here's what we're all going to agree to. Anyone can come up to anyone else at any time, if you got the name tag on and you're here part of the group, and say, hey, how's business? And you're going to answer the question. You're going to dig into it with them as well. You're going to ask it back to them. Is everybody okay with it? Does anybody not want to do that while they're here for the next 3, 4 days? Nobody raised their hand. Everybody was in. Like, all right, we all just gave each other permission. We're going to ask that 2-word question the whole time. And we're going to dive into each other's businesses. We're going to get ideas. We're going to all benefit from it. And it went great. Just the stories from that simple 2-word question that, and because I always say, well, there's no other environment that's afforded us as e-commerce entrepreneurs that we can step into, and we can just kind of walk around like, hey, how's business? And you have other people asking you that too. Like, who does that?
Right.
There's nowhere to do that. You got to get with that group of people. You got to get with a group to do that. And so that's going to be a huge benefit for you among many others, I think, of being there. You bringing your family to Orlando?
My wife and my little one are coming down.
Beautiful.
So they'll probably come to the opening on Thursday morning, and then
Great.
my brother-in-law lives in Orlando, so
Oh,
they're
cool. Perfect.
visit family. And I mean, I'm probably going to spend more time at the conference than with
Yeah.
family. My
Yeah.
wife will probably flip flop back and forth a
Well,
little
you
bit.
said you got a 4-year-old, man, so that enjoy the property. It's a beautiful resort, a few different swimming pools. The kid area is phenomenal. Outdoor putt and stuff like all right there. Plenty of stuff for families to do.
Great.
You want to hang out on site. But outstanding, man. Yeah, it's going to be great having you guys there. And we have, at this point, as we're recording this episode, here we are, like I said, mid-April ish, with the event coming up May 23rd through 25th, 2024 in Orlando. But we're at about 700 people. We're well over 700 people registered, which makes it our biggest event ever so far, as far as total registration at this point. I think it's going to be just incredible. We've got over almost 50 breakout sessions on everything that we're talking about today, the Amazon stuff, but a whole lot of other things too. As your business expands, it's good to kind of have your eye on the horizon. Like as this thing grows, you don't want to put yourself on a hamster wheel. The treadmill model of like eBay kind of turns into that pretty fast for people who do that. It's a treadmill. Yard sales on Saturday, prep and packing listing, boom, boom, boom. Like, and it's all on you. And if you stop, sales kind of drift. The beautiful thing about Amazon is you're building a system here that you can hand to somebody else, and the moving parts just keep right on moving. Then you can step back. Now you got a system, right? And so you're going to talk to people who have done that at scale, and people who are a couple steps ahead of you, and some people who are 10 miles ahead of you that can inspire you. That's a lot of the benefit of these conferences. But 50 sessions on all kinds, with Walmart, we're adding in a TikTok guy. I think I'm going to be talking to him later today. Uh, so he was killing it with TikTok, even like, just kind of a random mishmash of topics that might be of great interest. But plenty of stuff for a guy at your position. And I'll tell you this, man, 50 sessions you're going to attend, if you're lucky, 7 or 8 sessions, and you're gonna be pulled into conversations, and you're gonna just be in the hallway, and you're gonna be, enjoying the event. But you get all the recordings, as you probably already knew
Yeah, I do.
as
Yeah,
an attendee.
we were
Yeah.
talking about that last night, and you talk about the whole house business, and you
Mhm.
had asked about my numbers earlier too.
Yeah, I'd love to hear more about that.
I mean, my first month, I mailed my first shipment off to Amazon for FBA on November 6th of 2023. So, less than 6 months ago.
Yeah.
My November sales were under $1,000. I actually have the number in front of me. It's $938 in November. December, I topped $3,000 in sales. January, I was a little over, almost at 5,300. I was at 52, $5,288 in January. February, I jumped to almost 6,500. And March, I was over 10,000.
Yeah, your $10,000 month in March, last month. That's
So,
awesome.
and then April so far is a little bit slower than last month. Amazon's been a little bit slower checking some of the inventory in.
That
I t-
happens.
I took a week off from prepping and shipping last month,
Mhm.
and I've seen the peaks and valleys from that standpoint already. Some of the stuff starting to hit. So my numbers peaked at the beginning of the month, have gone down and come back up. And it's just taught me, the consistency needs to be there.
Yes. You hear the Olsons talk about that all the time, building consistent habits, and you gotta do it yourself or someone else needs to be doing it, but you gotta be hitting it every week,
Yeah.
consistent routine.
And I'll still probably end up at 8,000, 8,500 for April.
Mhm.
But admittedly, I'm a little disappointed that I'm going to drop from the 10,000. I wanted to keep going up every month.
Yeah, 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 sure. And you've got some good, inventory sitting out there now in the Amazon's warehouse. There's some value to that. I always, especially new sellers, I always remind them like, "Man, I put in a lot of work and I've only seen, X happen so far." It's like, "Well, you got a lot of inventory out there too." Like, what's the value of that? That's gonna sell for at least, a small profit, if not a significant profit. Like, so that all that's gonna come in the next few months. Like, you're building this slow rolling ball. It's like you have to push it uphill a little bit, and now you're kind of pushing it downhill, and it's getting bigger. That's kind of how the business feels as you catch on to it.
Well,
Uh,
I looked at my numbers earlier today. I've got over 600 units that haven't been received into Amazon. I mean,
yeah.
they've arrived, they just haven't been checked in.
Yep. Yep. That's beautiful, man. And if
So
you have the ability to do a little bit of merchant fulfill as well, Like if sometimes we'll hop on an ASIN and like we send in 8 and they sell. We send in 20 and they sell. We send in 30 and they sell. But it takes forever for them to get checked in. I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to keep waiting on Amazon. Let's sell a few merchant fulfill while we wait. Instead of sending all 30 in, let's hold on to 5 or 6 of these and pop them on that listing that can't seem to find enough inventory, right? Just as a little tip, something to
Yeah,
keep in the
no,
back of
that's
your
great.
mind.
That's definitely good. I've thought about that side of it. I just haven't. I've
Yeah.
not done merchant fulfilled yet.
Yeah,
So
as you build your systems out, as you have the bandwidth for it, as you have the margin. Right now, you're working. This is your part-time gig. You got a full-time job, so you don't want to go in too many directions at once. But as you have time, these are some of the it's like a slow expanding circle of what your business is capable of. Right now, it's a fairly small circle. Hitting 10,000 is no joke. That's a very significant benchmark. It tells me you've got a great trajectory. You're heading in the right direction with your business. You're figuring out your systems. You're finding good inventory. All the moving parts are there. Uh, I like to interview guests at about that point because it's not so far out of reach for a new seller that they can't imagine themselves ever being there. But there's a lot of little boxes you've had to check to get to where you are. A lot of those one-time little painful experiences you've had to go through. You've bought the wrong size product and shipped it in and had to recall it by now. You've had a refund on something that you were celebrating yesterday, and you've, you've had those, you've had a $500 day followed by a $0 day, and that you've experienced the churn of like, okay, what's going on? Like you've experienced a lot of little things. They're going to serve you very well as you move forward in this business. Yeah, well done, man. Yeah, what else can you tell us about your numbers, your business, how you're finding your inventory?
yeah. So I mean, finding inventory. Honestly, it's I probably a handful of local stores. I say local, or national stores that are here. But
Mhm.
like I said, going in, taking pictures. I'll jump on and do some, online searches as well, just to kind of see what's out there. But so far, I've stuck to the primary core of like 3 or 4 stores in the area, and then I've got about 3 or 4 others that are online at
Mhm.
this point. I kind of look for things that the one thing that I have not ventured into yet is the higher priced items. I'm selling a lot of smaller items at this point still.
A lot of new sellers do. Yeah, get your confidence up.
It's for me, it's been easier to have that confidence of, okay, well, if I don't sell these, I'm only out $30 or
Mhm.
$50,
Mhm. Mhm.
opposed to spending 30 or $50 on a single item and
Yeah.
testing.
Yep.
But I'll get there. For me right now, what I kind of look at is I look at what the ROI is going to be. I factor in my margins a little bit. ROI is really the number I focus on, just because having invested in the stock market and different things, I understand ROI a lot better than
Yeah.
the margins.
Yeah. I
Um,
love looking at ROI too, especially when you think, man, this compounds. I can turn my money over 8 to 10 times in a year at that ROI. That's insane. You can turn like, we had an episode where a dentist, or sorry, it was a chiropractor, talked about starting with a couple $100 total. That's it. Like for everything. He's like, I'm not going to put any more money in. I'm only going to turn over the money. And within a year, he was paying off tens of thousands of dollars of student loans because the ROI is ridiculous. And you can flip your money so fast. So yeah, 20% ROI. A lot of times people are like, oh, you only made 20% ROI. That's like if you're putting that money out right back in and you're flipping it again at 30 and then maybe flipping it again at 40 and you're doing that 8 or 10 times in a year,
can't
your
make that.
pile of cash is growing, man.
Yeah. I've heard your chiropractor story a couple times because it wasn't. I think it was your aunt's chiropractor or something.
Exactly right. Yep. That's the go-to example I use because he had broken it down better than anyone. I loved it. I think I love that story. One of the things I love is he could have put $10,000 in, but he's like, I'm not going to. I'm putting in 200. That's for the course, that's for the tools, that's for everything. And for inventory, everything. And until I can turn that into 300, I'm not spending any more money. That's how he started. Yeah. And
And
I just love the discipline of that. I'm like, you never put another penny in? He's like, nope, I never have. Not
well,
another.
to date, for me, I mean, I had my initial investment, and I've probably since my initial purchase, and I say initial purchase being like the first 6 weeks or so of
Sure.
buying story, I may have spent another $200 or $300 out of my own pocket. The rest has just been reinvested from profits.
Just flipping. Dude, that's great. Yeah. I mean, you can see how fast. What was your initial money that you put in?
I was around 2,000 in the
Mhm.
first 6 weeks,
Yeah.
$2,000 worth of merchandise.
Yeah, that's 2,000 worth of inventory, so separate on your tools. which
Right.
isn't expensive. You listed out the tools you're using earlier. I mean, we're still way under $100. Even
Then
you add on your Amazon seller app, your pro selling account, you're right around $100, maybe a little more for all the tools you listed per month and your Amazon pro selling account. So, you got that as well. So a couple $1,000s, then let's say $120 a month. That's what's propelled you to this point so
yeah,
far.
I was probably all in with everything, counting the subscriptions and everything else. Probably $2,500
Yeah.
total.
Yep.
To date was my total investment.
Yeah, getting started. Yep, ramping up. I love it. Yeah, it's not an expensive proposition. We take it very seriously. So you're going to be earning while you learn. It doesn't take a lot to get started. It just doesn't. And it's frustrating for me to see the people. It's like, well, unless you got about 10 grand, you can't do anything. And you're like, no, we do all day, do it very differently all day, every day around here. And you're just the latest example of it.
Well, and since the very beginning till now, my ROI is hovering right around 33%.
Nice. Nice. Do you
So
know your net to date with some of your initial investments and
I
everything?
I don't actually, and that's one of the things that I've got to get a better handle on
Yeah.
from that standpoint.
It's gonna be something less than that, obviously, but,
Right.
especially with any one-time purchases, like if you bought a new computer, which I don't encourage, like, use the equipment you got, man. Make it if you need a table in the garage, it's an old door you got up in the attic, like, that's your table. Like, just keep your expenses super low as you're ramping up, get that net margin number real attractive, as good as you can, like, don't spend money on anything unless you absolutely have to as you're ramping up. And that'll make your net margins look really nice. I think the goal should be get a net margin, up north of 20-25% total, after you've factored everything
Yeah.
before you've paid yourself, obviously, but you're not paying yourself yet. I think you're still ramping up, but it won't be long before you'll be able to pull, hey, we're pulling our car payment, our mortgage out of the business now. That's covered.
Right.
And it's still rocking and profitable. Like that'll be here before you know it.
That's the goal. I mean, hopefully, I would love to see, worst case car payment come out, but paying the mortgage by the end of this year out of
Yeah.
Amazon.
There's no reason you can't with the trajectory that you're on and your understanding of replens. Beautiful. Well, talk to me a little bit about you mentioned the stores you're going to, and you mentioned that you're processing it all yourself, but we haven't really talked about the keep a chart. Like, what are you looking for? You mentioned the net margins you're looking for, or the ROI that you're looking for. But like, what specifically are you looking at when you look at a keep a chart for a product? What's your go signal? Like, what gets you excited?
For the majority of what I'm buying is 30 drops a month on Keepa.
Hmm.
I do have a couple slower moving ASINs that I buy that, maybe in the 8 to 12 drops a
Hmm.
month range.
And
But
some
for
of those can be beautiful, man.
yeah, I mean, those are the ones that I'm selling above buy box for sure.
Oh, so you're doing some above buy box too.
Yeah, on some of the stuff. I mean,
Good.
I'm trying to stay above buy box on everything. There's some of the things just because of the number of sellers on it, I've had to drop my prices to around buy box on it. But
Right.
for the most part, when I'm looking at the Keepa charts, 30 drops a month or more. Uh, I like the new tool that they've got in there that shows on certain items an estimated number of sales, because obviously the drops on Keepa is not indicative of how many sales it is.
Exactly.
But yeah, I mean, there's some items that I've done really well with, and there's some inventory that I've sent off that I've tested and will never buy again.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, let's talk about some of those. I don't want to call them mistake ASINs because they were tests that didn't go well. But what was your loss on
Well,
those?
that's the great thing is I really haven't lost any money on the ASINs that
Mhm.
didn't work out
Yep.
because I was in looking at it the way I was with where I needed to be selling at or below buy box, even a little below buy box. I was still at worst case at break even point.
Yeah, exactly. And those ASINs are everywhere. I mean, it's such a beautiful business model. I mean, see if this, you may have heard me use this analogy before, but it's popping in my head just to kind of illustrate for people what this model is. The ideal business, you're sliding in $5 and out pops 10. Like, all right, that's great. Everybody wants that machine, right? That machine doesn't exist in business. Most businesses, the vast majority of businesses I've been exposed to, sometimes you slide in that $5 bill and it costs you $20 more and you don't get any of it back. And sometimes you slide in that $5 bill and you get a $5 bill back. And you're like, okay, well, at least I broke even. Sometimes you slide that $5 bill in and you get $10 back. That's how most businesses work. You just don't know for sure how it's going to go. And there's no guarantees in life. But this model comes as close to, hey, you're sliding in your money. Your worst case is it's going to slide back to you here in a few weeks, maybe a month or so. It's me
I had
right back in your pocket. That's your worst case scenario if you're doing it right.
hmm,
Your best case scenario is these nice 30% ROIs, or even better as you expand and you're flipping your money, you turn it over pretty fast. That's a pretty cool business model, man.
I
Uh,
had one item that I was selling or still am selling that early on I was at the 75-80% ROI,
mhm.
and a few more sellers came on board, the price tanked a little bit, and I'm still at a 30% ROI,
Yeah, you're
and I'm
still.
selling 30 to 40 of them a month.
Yep, they're
You know,
everywhere, dude. Those
it's
are
working
everywhere.
well. Now I'm hoping the prices go back up.
They
Uh,
will. They absolutely will. Like, not quite 100% of the time, but pretty stinking close.
yeah.
That's the beauty of Kang's system. I'm sure you've heard episode 754. I talk about it all the time. 754. Kang Dang got the $3 million REPLENS business that's completely automated. And a lot of what it automates is that rise and fall of the price. It's getting you on at the right point, so you can easily get off when it's bad instead of riding on the wrong side of the curve. You're talking to someone who's riding the wrong side of the curve constantly when they say everything I buy, the price tanks. Typically, it's the newer sellers who are saying that they're buying off of a buy list, or
Right.
they're only buying the super popular stuff that's on sale at the national chains, and they're confused about why so many sellers are jumping on the same thing they are. It's like, because everyone else knows it just went on sale too,
Well,
right?
for me, in that you'd ask the question as far as how I go about things as far as my sourcing. One of the things
Yeah.
I do is I do look for those either regional or local items that may sell everywhere, but I look for the unusual things too.
Yes, those
The
are the
thing,
best.
you know, I used the Duncan Hines cake mix example earlier because I did try that early on. And I realized that everybody and their brother is selling Duncan Hines cake mix, and it was like, so I moved away from that. And I do sell more unique items from that standpoint. It's things that you can't just get at every Walmart you walk into.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah. A lot of people don't realize every Walmart's different. You'll have different prices. You have two Walmarts 3 miles away from each other in the same town, and they've got different inventory. They got different
mhm.
prices on the same inventory, right? Like, Walmart really is. I mean, if I had to make a living just sourcing replens from just Walmart, oh yeah, no problem. I could do it. It's just me. I got to pay my bills, just Walmart. That's the only thing I have access to. As long as I can go to any Walmart, no problem. No
Right.
problem at all, right? Even
Interesting.
online, just there's so many underserved ASINs on Amazon that you can easily go source. And Walmart is so stinking cheap. A lot of times people are like, well, I got to get into wholesale so I can pay less. Like, you got to order a pallet of 100 units to match the price. You can go retail and grab a few units at a time at Walmart. It's like, why wouldn't I just go to Walmart and buy a few at a time? Right.
Well, I think, you talk about the pricing being different from Walmart to Walmart. That's something that people need to look at because I've caught that with I've left it with some with Walmart, but even Kroger.
Hmm.
There, I have 3 Krogers within probably a 4-mile radius of where I work, and I'll hit those 3 stores, and one of them is more expensive than the other 2 on some of the items I buy.
Sure. In the nicer part of town or whatever, you'll see a price difference on those kind of things too. Yeah. I bet you're starting to rack up the fuel points then, I put a lot of free gas in my car, like 70% off a gallon or whatever, because we're using our phone number. You get all the points and all, like, it's so fun. These little extra perks of this business as they start to stack, and you can kind of see those playing out. You seen any effect of that yet?
Yeah, it's funny, I actually signed up with, Rakuten
Yeah.
recently,
Yeah.
and a lot of my online arbitrage is coming, from sites that are there. Well, they just did a double cash back the other day.
Hmm.
I mean, in a day, just me purchasing new inventory, I got $60 or $70 cash back,
Yeah, it's
which
great. And at scale, as this thing grows, I had a conversation with a guy in our community here a couple months ago. He has a bit of a team, managing his warehouse, his business scaled. It's a multi-million-dollar operation now. Like, anytime anyone on his team gets married, he flies them and their spouse somewhere just exotic for their honeymoon on points. He's got
yeah,
millions and millions of points, so that's what he does with them now. It's like, yeah, just fly. Like, where do you guys want to go? Barbados has a good deal right now. All right, yeah, hop on a plane, pay for it, all points. It's like, yeah, it cost me some points. No big deal. Right. So you just start to see the side benefits of these things. It can get really fun, man. Yeah, well done. You're doing tremendous. There's a
Thank you.
lot of directions we could go from here, but it has been a long episode. And I don't want to hold you for too much longer. But and I would love to hear if there's anything else on your mind, any questions for me, or any topics you were hoping to get into. I think we covered the conference with enough of a thoroughness there that folks will know. There'll be a link in the show notes to everything you mentioned today, if I hadn't made that clear yet for the listeners. But what else? What else is on your mind? Anything on your list, or anything you want to kick around before we start to wrap up?
Two questions that I've got that I think they'll help me, but I also think they'll benefit everybody listening as
Cool.
well.
Let's do
Uh,
it.
because it's things that even with all the podcasts I've listened to, I've either missed those podcasts or just hasn't had the information.
Nice.
I know you've talked about repricers and
Yeah.
different. How important? Like I'm manually repricing right now.
Good.
Worth. I've got roughly 110 active ASINs right now.
Yeah.
I'll go in, every day, every other day, and reprice sometimes.
Bump
Is
them around a little bit. Yep.
is it worth the money for a repricer at this stage?
You know, you could be good either way. If you're
Okay.
at 50 ASINs, I'd say wait. If you're at 250, I'd say, yeah, probably getting to be about that time.
Okay.
You're in the kind of in the middle of the sweet spot where you can be good either way. But I like kind of hanging on to that instinct that you're developing right now about bumping it around a little bit to kind of juice the system, and this, you understand the significance and the importance of it. So you're going to know what you're asking your repricer to do when you plug one in. People who buy a repricer too soon seem to think it's a magic button. It's like, yeah, I plugged in a repricer today. Like, okay.
Right.
So what? I made a lot more sales today because I plugged it in. It doesn't take over the instincts and the ability that you have to kind of do some calculations. For example, on a lot of my above buy box ASINs that we sell against, I don't want that repricer touching that thing, because the repricer is going to go, oh, wait a second, you're the highest price seller on this ASIN. We need to get you down here into the buy box so you can win some sales. Like, no, I'm winning a lot of sales way up here. Leave me alone. Right. So you want to understand what a repricer can and can't do. You want to ease your way into it. Even when you do turn one on, I would say, let's put some of our replen ASINs in here, and let's leave some of them alone. And I'm gonna control these. You feed it some of the low hanging fruit. For example, a low hanging fruit where a repricer would serve you well is the buy box is bouncing between $35 and $38. You're happy to sell it for anything in between, and the repricer is just going to kind of bump you around a few pennies up or down within that range, and you don't have to be the one to go in and do it every day. Like,
Okay.
that's cool. Yeah, let the repricer handle that.
Yeah. And
Um,
then the
yeah.
the other question I had for you was, at what point, growth wise, should I consider a prep center?
Hmm. Good question. There's a premise in that question, as there is in every question, that I want to tackle for some clarity's sake before I answer the question. Because if I was just to answer the question you asked, it'd be, you're not there yet. And it's going to be a while, typically. But some people, they start off international. They live outside the United States. They're buying their inventory in the US. They can't ship it to their country, right? A great example, a guy who posted in our group here just last week, coach on our team. He's created some good content for us, Joseph in Slovakia. Like, he doesn't have any way to get all his inventory there and then ship it back to the US. So he's buying online, having it sent to a prep center from day one. That's how he's had to run his business. It's not ideal, however, as ideal as it sounds, because I really like people to kind of experience you're doing it as a family, you figured it out, you're carving some space out in the garage. You'll have an appreciation. You even mentioned yourself, a corner of a warehouse might make sense next. There's a lot of little degrees of improvement between, or a possibility, I should say, between doing it all yourself or turning it all over to someone else. There's degrees in there. And I encourage people to wade, whenever possible, wade slowly into changes versus making big leaps.
Okay.
So I would say the next step for you guys, once you get the garage settled and you got your routine there, now you hire someone to come in, one of your teenage, kids' friends, and they're coming in a couple days a week and they're slapping stickers and bagging. And then you find a little more space, like, it's a great suggestion. Find an unused corner of someone's warehouse near you, friend from church. They say, ah, yeah, we got some space. Yeah, feel free. I'll give you a great deal on the rent. Those are ideal arrangements that get you 90% of the benefit without the extreme commitment that comes from going all in with a prep center. And I'm not anti prep center. We have one, but I just know that it's not the dream solution, because there's expenses that come with it. And there's There's going to be frustrations that come with it. It's like, man, this stuff is, if it had been here, I would have shipped it out by now. It's there. They're busy. I get it. But man, it's sat there for a week now. And by the time they get to it, now it's going to Amazon where it's going to sit for another 3 weeks. It slows things down a little bit sometimes. Um, so I'd say ease into it. And when you do it, don't give everything to the prep center. Give them the low hanging fruit stuff. Like, yeah, charge me $2 a sale. I'm going to send you 100 units a month. Let's see how you guys do with that. A lot of people will use 2 or 3 prep centers, send some inventory to one, and get their favorites. Send the stuff that's hard to prep. You get into glass, whatever. Yeah, let the prep center that preps glass all day, every day do it. That's one of the things that we happen to do pretty well because one of our clients did a lot of it. We're good at glass, right? Not that we're looking for new glass clients right now. They may be, I don't know, but um, that's just me kind of brainstorming with you a little bit, but I would say take incremental steps in that direction instead of going all in and going, yay, it's out of our house now. We got a prep center in Wyoming. Yay, we'll never have to work again. That's not
Yeah.
how it works, man. You're doing a lot
Yeah.
of RA. One of the things that goes away when you start using a prep center is you can get away from RA, and there's a lot of your money right now. And businesses do really well holding on to that. You got some local shoppers hitting the stores like, where are they going to take this stuff? They can't send it to your prep center 3 states away. That doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
So does that help?
Yeah, no, it definitely does. I mean, like I said, the podcasts are helpful. This obviously the conversation with you today has been great. I'm looking forward to the conference. But the one thing that, as a relatively new seller, still I am still a new seller. The Proven Amazon course, if you're on the fence about it as a listener, jump into it and try it. It's definitely great material. There's so much. I've barely scratched the surface on all the different trainings, but to me, it's worth the $40 a month investment. I think it's $39.99 a month or whatever it is now.
Mhm.
It's been
Yeah.
very educational.
Awesome.
I've learned, and it's made me think outside of even where I am now. It's made me think about where I want to go. It's made me think about taking this full time, but also venturing out into the multiple streams of income. More on whether it's branded bundles or wholesale or venturing out to Walmart, doing more on eBay. There's so much out there.
Yeah. Yeah. Thanks for giving it a shout out. The team that supports it certainly appreciates it, as do I. It's a pretty special collection of modules, and we really do step new sellers right through what they need to see to get going, to kind of get to the level where you're at, where they can begin thinking like you are, Shad, about where does this go next? What am I going to add on to this? What other new income streams are now possible that I've got these basic foundations in place? And the course grows with you. And it's earning while you learn, but it's also just in time learning. So you're learning what you need next, one step at a time. And that's how we've broken it down. And it keeps getting better too. Yeah, you mentioned the branded bundles. We just added that in, completely free, great new module, the best bundle training in the world for Amazon. And it's included in the course, along with dozens of other modules. So yeah, appreciate you pointing that out, buddy. This is a lot of our marketing is the conversations we have here with students who are succeeding using our tools and resources. So we always appreciate a shout out to the good stuff we've put together for you. But man, it's been great getting to know you, and please thank your family for us, for loaning you to us for a little while today. You're a busy guy with a couple businesses going on now. So it's an honor to get to know you, man. And if I can ever be of service, please do reach out. And thanks for being flexible. Let me reschedule on you too there last
Oh
minute. I
yeah,
know you had to bump
not a
it.
problem. I appreciate your time today, and I look forward to seeing you guys down there in Orlando in a month.
We will see you in Orlando, May 23rd, man. It's going to be awesome. Come down a day or two early if you can, because that's when people start showing up. The hotel's always shocked. It's really funny that we'll say, hey, here's our 3-day event, and they'll give us a block of rooms a day before and a day after. Like, that's not going to do it with this group. There's people coming down 2-3 days early, staying 2-3 days late. Like,
Yeah.
no, not. Are you sure? Like, trust us. Give us a discount for a big window, buddy. And it happens every year. And so yeah, you're going to have a total blast. Can't wait to see you guys. Be sure to come up and say hi. Those 3 days
I
are going
will.
to fly by, but I'd love to shake your hand and thank you for being a guest.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thanks again for your time today.
All right, sir. Thanks. We'll talk to you soon. Well, hey, for
Yeah.
the listeners who hung out with Shad and I today, thank you for just being the best part of this show, which is the listeners. If it weren't for you, we wouldn't do this. But you hung out with us. You gave us a very valuable gift today, some of your time, and we're grateful for that. In exchange, I got a little something for you. If you don't have a free copy of the Silent Sales Machine book, the book that launched this community about 20 years ago, it's in its 11th updated version. I'm going to give it to you completely free. Just go to silentjimdotcom/free11 FREE, then the number 1, free 11, and we'll get you instructions on how to get a free copy of that book. We'd love to send it to you so you can start diving into some multiple income stream possibilities using the internet creatively. It really dives into where you're at right now, what possibilities are open to you based on your skill set and your experience, and gives you a good shove in the right direction on some of the things that we see working all the time around here. God bless you, business building warrior. We will have another great episode for you again very soon.